Chapter 1. The Silent Beginning. My name is Emily. I was 24 years old. I live in a small town in Ohio, United States. My family came from Mexico when I was a child. Spanish is my first language. I grew up hearing English everywhere. At school, at the store, at the doctor's office. People spoke English all around me, but I stayed quiet. I understood English. I could read English, I could write short sentences, but when I had to speak, I froze. My heart beat fast, my hands shook, my voice became very small. I wanted to talk, had so many words in my head, but my mouth stayed shut. I felt scared, I felt stuck. In school, I always sat in the back. I didn't raise my hand, I didn't ask questions. I remember one day my teacher asked me to read a paragraph out loud. She said, Emily, can you read this, please? I looked at the paper. My lips were dry. My throat was tight. I couldn't say a word. Everyone was looking at me. I felt like crying. That moment stayed with me for years. After that, I made a promise to myself one day I will speak, one day I will be brave. What time passed? I finished school. I started working at a small coffee shop. Every day I saw people. I made coffee. I cleaned tables. Customers spoke to me. They asked, can I get a little? Or do you have muffins today? I smiled. I nodded. I said, okay or sure. And that was it. I never said more. I felt like a shadow. I was there, but not really there. I was hiding behind simple words. I wanted more. I wanted to say, how are you? Or have a nice day. But I was scared. I didn't have anyone to practice with. I didn't go to English class. I didn't have English speaking friends. I was alone, but I still had a strong desire. I wanted to speak. I wanted to change. So one evening, I had an idea. I picked my phone up. I opened the voice recorder. I sat on my bed. I pressed the red button. I said, hi, my name is Emily. Then I stopped. I played it back. I heard my own voice. It was soft. It was shaky. What it may was mine. That small moment felt big. I didn't feel scared. I felt something new. A small hope. A small light. The next night, I did it again. I spoke into my phone. I talked about my day. I said, today it was tired. Work was busy. I talked about my feelings. I said, I felt nervous. I made a mistake at work. There were no rules. No one was listening. It was just me and my voice. And for the first time, that was enough. I wasn't silence anymore. I was speaking, maybe not to a person, but I was speaking. Each night I recorded a few more words. Sometimes I talked for 2 minutes, sometimes just 30 seconds. What I showed up every single night, no matter how I felt. I opened my phone, I opened my mouth, and I talked. I didn't correct myself. I didn't judge myself. I just tried slowly. I felt less afraid. I started to enjoy it. My voice got stronger. My sentences got stronger. One night I looked in the mirror. I smiled. I said, Emily, how are you? Then I answered, I'm fine. I had a good day. I laughed. I felt silly, but also proud. I was doing something new, something brave. Speaking to myself become my practice. My alone time became my learning time, and I learned that speaking alone is still speaking. That was the beginning. That was when I moved from silence to sound, from fear to hope. It didn't happen in one day. What every day I took one small step, my room became my classroom, my phone became my partner, and I became my own teacher. Chapter 2, Learning to Speak Alone. After a few weeks of talking into my phone, I started to feel different. I was not fluent, but I was no longer afraid to hear my voice in English. I became fluent. What else can I do? One morning, I stood in front of the mirror. I looked at myself and said, Good morning, Emily. How are you today? Then I smiled and answered, I am a little sleepy, but I am okay. It felt funny at first, like I was acting, but it also felt powerful. I was not waiting for someone to speak to me. I was speaking to myself. Every day, I added more English to my routine. While brushing my teeth, I asked, What are your plans today? While cooking, I said, Now I add salt. Now I stir the soup. While walking to work, I looked at the street and said, The leaves are green. The wind is cold today. My life became a classroom. My voice became my practice. No one corrected me. No one laughed. And I kept going. One evening, I opened YouTube. I searched Easy English blog. I found a video of a girl talking about her morning routine. She was brushing her hair, making coffee, packing her bag. She spoke slowly. The video had subtitles. I paused after each sentence. I repeated what she said. I copied her pronunciations. I wake up at 7 a.m. Pause. Repeat. I like to drink tea in the morning. Pause. Repeat. At first, it was hard. My mouth moved slowly. I didn't understand every word, but I didn't give up. I watched cooking shows too. I listened to simple podcasts. I liked ones with short sentences. I always used subtitles. I didn't just watch, I spoke with them. I made my own voice follow theirs. This is called shadowing. I didn't know that word at the time. I just knew it helped me. My ears listened, my mouth repeated, my brain started to correct sounds and meanings. Little by little, English felt less strange. It felt closer. I also started writing before bed. I took a notebook and wrote two small paragraphs. Nothing special, just simple thoughts. Today I made a mistake at work. I gave the wrong drink, but I said sorry and the customer smiled. Or I saw a dog today. It had brown eyes. It made me happy. I didn't worry about grammar. I didn't check for mistakes. I just wrote what was in my heart. My notebook became my friend, a quiet friend who always listened. After some months, something small but big to me happened. A customer came into the coffee shop. He smiled and said, "Hey, how's your day?" I smiled back, but this time I didn't say okay. I said, "It's going well, thanks. How about you?" He replied, "I'm good." That was it, a short moment, a few words, but it felt like a victory. I felt proud. I felt strong. I had spoken with confidence. I didn't hide. I was there, fully. Of course, I still made mistakes. Funny ones too. One time I said, "I am very boring," when I meant I am very bored. The customer laughed kindly and said, "Don't say that about yourself." We both laughed. I laughed even more later at home, but I didn't feel embarrassed. I felt happy because that mistake taught me something. I learned, I remembered, and I didn't stop. I started to enjoy speaking, not just practicing, but really enjoying it. My alone time felt richer. I would talk to myself while folding laundry, while trying my shoes, even while feeding my cat. I asked questions like, "What will I cook today?" And "What did I learn today?" And I answered them out loud. It became normal. It became part of my life, just like brushing my hair and listening to music. Then, one day, I shared a voice message with my cousin Sarah. She like she lives in Texas. We don't talk often. What that day I felt brave. I sent her a short recording. I said, "Hi Sarah, I hope you are doing well. I wanted to share something. I will be practicing English every day alone, and I am getting better." A few hours later she called me. "Emily," she said, "your English sounds really good. Are you taking classes?" I laughed and said, "No, I just talk to myself every day." She was shocked. "Alone?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "alone but not lonely. English is my friend now." That moment felt like magic. My cousin noticed my change. I noticed it too. I was not the same girl who froze in school. I was not the girl who only said, "Okay, I had grown." Not because someone taught me, but because I gave myself the chance to speak. I gave myself permission to try, to fail, to learn. English was no longer just a subject, it was no longer just a fear. It had become a part of me, a real part, a true friend. Chapter 3, From Practice to Real Conversations. One evening, after months of talking to myself, I looked in the mirror and asked, "Emily, what's next?" I had come far. I could speak without freezing. I could express how I felt. I could chat with customers at the coffee shop, but something inside me said, it's time for more. My voice was ready for real people, not just reflections and recordings. I wanted to test it in the real world. So I took my phone and typed into Google Free English Conversation Group United States. I didn't know what I would find. I just wanted to talk to someone face to face, not face to mirror. After a few clicks, I found something, a local group that met every Saturday in Columbus. That was 2 hours away from my small town, but they welcomed new members. It was free and it was real. My heart started to race. Should I go? All week I thought about it. I felt excited and scared. What if I couldn't understand them? What if I froze again? But then I remembered every night I had practiced alone. Every mistake I had turned into a lesson. Every time I smiled in the mirror and said, you can do this. So I said, yes, I will do. I will go. Saturday morning came. I woke up early. I wore my favorite sweater. I packed my notebook and pen just in case. I got into my car and started a long drive. The roads were quiet. I spoke to myself the whole way. I am